Just humming.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All the people on the panel. I appreciate it.
Hi, Joe.
Hey JJ, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good. What do you got there?
My own sponge.
A little sponge?
Yes.
I must. Wait, yeah.
Okay, we do have a quorum, but we're going to start in 2 or 3 more minutes just to give our additional board members a chance to jump on with us.
Angela, I think
Okay, I'm not muted.
Good evening. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6 PL 1975 C231 S1, amended in 2006 C70 S2, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the New Coaster on January 8, 2021 via email. Copies of this notice have also been placed at the administration buildings, bulletin boards, district schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the city clerk on January 8, 2021. The mission of the Asbury Park Public School District is to provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skill and character to succeed in a diverse, evolving global society. Roll call, please, Mr. Hastings.
Okay, we're gonna do the roll call. Everybody is muted. Please unmute yourself. State here and then remute, please. Ms. Alves Anderson,
Here.
Ms. Breach, Ms. Cook, Ms. Cook.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Grillo,
Here.
Mr. LaRocco,
Here.
Mr. Remy,
Here.
Mr. Saunders, Ms. Lozinski,
Here.
and Ms. Etienne.
Here.
If we can please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so tonight we're gonna have a quick presentation. We're gonna do that right now so we get it out of the way.
All right, we have Mr. Jerry Conity. He's a partner at Holman Friendly Allison. They're our audit firm. They come out to the district each year and conduct our annual financial audit. They spend a couple of weeks at the beginning of the summer. They spend some time in the fall going through all our financial statements and our accounting systems, review our purchase orders, review our grants and our compliance issues, and then issue their report, the CAFR, or our annual financial report. So on the agenda tonight at 7 p.m. will be the acceptance of the audit for the board to vote on. That's a document that we need to then provide to the county and upload to the annual report repository with the state, so it's available to the public. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Conity so he can give you the impressions from the auditor and give you a snapshot of the audit for the year ending June 30th, 2020. And then after his presentation, he's obviously available for any questions you might have. Jerry?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hastings. Thank you very much for having me here virtually tonight, everybody. We're here a little later than we prefer to be. Unfortunately, the state of New Jersey kind of delayed all school districts across the state of New Jersey we've been waiting on reports for them to issue. They have, normally our audit is due by December 5th. Given the delays from the state of New Jersey, as well as complications from COVID-19 this year, they've extended that deadline to February. So although we're here tonight, we are timely with all statutory requirements and filings. So there's two places like I generally like to refer people to if you take nothing else away from the presentation tonight. The first of which is on page 1 of the report, which is referred to as the letter of transmittal. And then page 19 of the report, which is management's discussion and analysis. Those two schedules or letters in the audit report, although they're unaudited, they give a nice, clear snapshot of the financial statements and the district as a whole. It kind of shows where the district was over the past year, how they got to where they are at year end, as well as gives you a little bit of a picture of where the district's heading moving forward and some of the major initiatives that are going on. I'm happy to report that we have an unmodified opinion on our financial statements. That is the best opinion that we can give, saying that there are no modifications necessary to bring us into compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. At year end, what I really just want to kind of make mention of tonight, obviously as you have your budget season kind of rolling around, is where the district stands with its fund balance at June 30th, 2020. So total fund balance was $11.6 million. Of that, we had about $1.9 million set aside in some reserves for capital maintenance and extraordinary items. We had about $161,000 of encumbrances that were outstanding at year end. We also had allocated, when the board approved its fiscal year 21 budget, the board had approved utilizing about $4.2 million of fund balance in the fiscal year 21 budget. It left about $1.25 million of unassigned fund balance. That's the maximum that is allowed to be kept on hand at year end. And then it left excess surplus, it's referred to as $4.15 million. So pretty consistent with what you had utilized in your fiscal year 21 budget. That's the amount that the district will be required to utilize when balancing the 2022 budget. One thing I do want to just make mention of, we talked with Mr. Hastings and the administrative team about the food service fund. There was a big loss in the food service fund this past year, which we've seen at most of the school districts that we've seen, obviously, with the decrease in the usage there. So just to make sure that we're monitoring that as we're going and making sure that should transfers be necessary, that we're making whatever transfers that are needed to make sure that that fund stays whole. We also had to perform a lot of additional testing on our federal and our state grants, what's referred to as a single audit, which is an additional layer of testing over and above just a financial statement audit. I'm very happy to report that in all of our testing, we had no comments or recommendations. Everything went very smoothly, especially given our COVID situation that we've been working throughout the audit season. So, you know, before I open it up for questions, I really do just want to give, I say it each year, but I really have to give a big heartfelt thank you to Jeff, Mr. Hastings, Miss Ivy, Miss Gray, and all of their staff. It was a very complicated year to be doing an audit during, and nobody ever wants to see the auditors. So, you know, I can't thank you guys enough for all the courtesies extended to myself and my team throughout the process. So, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have, if they have any.
Okay, I don't see any questions at this point. The audit has been provided to all the board members for the review. And obviously, as you get time to go through the document or have questions that come up, you can certainly come visit us at central office or shoot me an email, and we can arrange, you know, a conversation with the auditor, myself, and the board member to get those questions answered, and also obviously forward those questions and answers to the rest of our board. So at this point, if we don't have any questions for Mr. Conatee, I'd like to thank him and his firm for their professionalism and again, working with us through the various COVID restrictions and scenarios, and working with us in terms of getting paperwork back and forth electronically instead of visiting us in person. And we appreciate all the effort they put in to making sure that our filings were on time. Great. Jerry, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
You as well.
At this point in time, we're gonna do the committee reports. Connie, can you speak? I see her, I don't know, I see her
Her
name.
video is down, she said.
Okay, let's start off with the policy. Joe, you have anything to report?
There we go. With policy, there are some things on the agenda that are going to be second readings. We had a policy alert that was 222, and we had some revisions on, and you'll see the list on the agenda. We had a few revisions for first readings, and the new ones are lead testing of water in schools, and remote public board meetings during a declared emergency, family leave. Let's see, and the rest were just revisions on the policies and regulations. There wasn't there. You'll see one on there also about a couple of abolished policies having to do with New Jersey Family Leave Insurance Program and school safety.
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Grillo. Curriculum and instruction, Ms. Cook? Okay. We'll come back to that. Can we have athletics, Ms. Breach?
So give me a second. Give me a second. I'm trying to get my info up. I'm a little problem with my computer. Can you bypass me?
Yeah, okay. Mr. LaRocca?
Okay, with regard to finance, first thing we should point out, in light of the deadline for submitting the tentative budget to the county, we're going to need to schedule a meeting on Thursday, March 18th, prior to our March 25th board meeting to go through the budget and have tentative approval to give to the county. We may then have to also adjust for the final approval our April board meeting, which is currently April 22nd. So please be aware, as Jeff, Sancha, others put out information that may be changing or adding meetings as we go into March, or shifting times as we go into April. We're hoping in about a week to 10 days, as the auditor just alluded to, we're putting together the budget. Remember, the state is doing two things. We were under the assumption going in that they were cutting our aid 5.8 million, and then doing a formula that says our local fair share is still over 10 million short. So we're addressing both those things, and in about 10 days, we're hoping to put out, we're really planning on 2.5 million as a revenue increase, and then we can get out to the board kind of buckets of other information. As the auditor mentioned, there could be operational rollover. There's going to be savings due to resignations and retirements where the district has determined they can combine jobs and not necessarily replace them. We talked about some specific cuts then of what's remaining. We're looking at our current curriculum contract and whether we go to a process with more of train the trainer after we've had that contract for about 3 or 4 years with that company that we can make a substantial reduction to and try to get out kind of the general areas, and you see some numbers as we try to hit that. But before I mention a couple of other things, then getting some text, and I guess the governor spoke, do we have a new number we want to throw out there about what we're going to have to hit in terms of the budget, Jeff?
Yeah, so the governor gave his budget address on Tuesday, as is required by statute. They are then required to release state aid numbers for school districts within 48 hours after his address. The number that was released showed a reduction in adjustment aid for the district of about $6.67 million. We have been looking at 5.8 to 6, and the number that came out was obviously much higher than that. So that's the number we're working with, and the number we'll have to address.
Okay, so since our meeting now, it's another $1 million of
about $800,000 additional.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we'll be getting out more information then leading up to this March 18 meeting will be then, as I understand it, just about the budget. And our regular business meeting is on the 25th.
Correct.
Okay. We just heard about the comprehensive annual audit. I think that's very good news. And again, kudos to Jeff, Ivy, Sanja for their work on that. There was a walkthrough at Obama that we can discuss with Building and Grounds. And the other bad news is the elevator bid at MLK Upper Elementary came back significantly higher than what our consultant had estimated. The committee discussed and with administration, and we're looking at canceling the bid and now re-advertising at a later date. And that concludes finance.
Any questions?
I just had one.
Shoot.
Dominic, you thinking of having another finance committee in between now and the 28th? Just to...
Yes. Yeah. So we'll have a meeting prior to and try to put a little more meat on the bones of the groupings of what we're doing, and then prior to our full board meeting.
Yeah, the Thursday night meetings for that month is going to be moved up 1 week. So we were supposed to have the meetings on the 18th. Those Thursday night meetings will be moved up to the week before, 11th. I had to do quick math, sorry. Any questions, comments?
Hi, Dominic. Sorry, I have a question about the 800,000 and change. Is there a specific bucket that's from? Maybe it's a question for Jeff too, but is there like a specific bucket that it's?
No, that's just the new number of the state aid reduction. So there has to be a comprehensive look where we thought we were hitting a number of 5.8 million through both revenue increases and cuts, and now it's 800,000 more than that at least.
Dom, I just had one more comment. It would be helpful if everybody actually knew what the formula was, because then you could be prepared and actually know what your numbers are going to be before, you know, the day of the budget address. And now you found out that something's wrong. It's different.
I'm constantly amazed by the budget process followed in New Jersey from the governor and the legislature on down. I would agree that there could be a better way to do this where you don't get the hard number until a few weeks when you've got to finalize the budget. But I think we're attacking the governmental status quo on that.
Well, I think we're about 3 years into S2 now. So we pretty much know that this is happening every year where we estimate one number and it's a little higher. So I think we should, you know, moving forward, try to do a little extra, because we keep in mind knowing that this is the number that we think, but it's probably going to be slightly more. So it's almost like we're going to have to cut deeper in anticipation of this happening each and every time.
Yeah, we're going to have 3 more years. I can submit that. You know, we can, don't hold your breath. I saw that our state senator is proposing a bill whereby cuts for districts like ours will be $500,000 less if we choose to engage in the assessment and planning of some kind of regionalization. We can also, and I'm Barb gave me some comments, and I'll finalize that, and we can make the request to him that also, can there be any extension of S2 showing what we've accomplished? You know, I think I'd like it to be out there as to what the district has accomplished in these now 3 budgetary years of S2. There's been real movement toward greater efficiency while not losing educational quality in what we've been doing, and we've been moving the local fair share that started, I believe, just prior to our S2 budgets. Our local fair share was around 7 million, and I think after this budget year, we will be at, check me here, Jeff, but I think around 13 million.
Right, so at the fiscal 21, we're probably around 10.7. And as you said, if we add another 2.5, that'll put us to about 13.
So there's been great progress.
So we're going to move on to the next. Connie, are you ready?
Yeah, I have my audio up, but my video is still a little, I'm having problems with my computer. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so we met on the 17th. We spoke about the upcoming section 3 of our winter sports events, which is going to start in March, which includes the volleyball and our track. We also were speaking about our status of our fields, trying to get prepared for our spring season. Mr. Sosa is working on that with our landscapers. Also looking into possibly getting purchasing indoor batting cages to help, and looking into the status of our outdoor batting cages, along with some track repairs that need to be done. The one thing that came out the past month was it was advertised on some web services that we had our sports were being streamed. That's not correct. We do not have an agreement as of now with, a sports channel to be streamed. Some of our opponents do have access for streaming equipment, and they are going to share that with us. But as of right now, we're looking into possibly APTV or some other affiliate that we can get, that even maybe having something with our own kids to do something with some streaming. It's probably not going to happen this season, but hopefully we'll look into that into the fall. The governor, of course, did change the spectators for indoor sporting events to allow 2 individuals per student. Of course, in the springtime, that's going to change. Outdoor track and everything's we'll be outside. So waiting for the update on that. We're still working with the virtual award ceremony to incorporate both last year awards recipients and this year's award recipients. Hopefully next month we'll have a little bit more, date on when that's going to happen. We're going to have to, get some of the students, a lot of them are at college right now, to try to get them back to do some filming. And we're also looking into possibly rehabbing tennis courts. I have an outside individual that might want to help us, but he is in the middle of some personal tragedy in his life, so that's going to take a little backseat for now. Hopefully next month I'll have a little bit more with that. The agenda, the meetings are, on our website. If you guys have any questions regarding some of the things that were on the minutes, I welcome any questions, and hopefully I can answer them.
Nope. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. We're going to move on to buildings and grounds.
Hello, good evening. So buildings and grounds, we met February the 18th, and we went over a few things. We had a facility use request. Basically, the district received an inquiry from Ultimate Sports Camp stating that they wanted to use our facilities. They would pay us. They wanted to use the high school fields through June 24th and August 20th for 200 students. And they said that they claimed that they would pay us $250 to use our gym and cafeteria and the fields in the lake. So we just asked for a formal proposal to be submitted. So once that proposal do come, we're gonna do our due diligence and see if that's the right fit for us. We also received another inquiry from Lake House of Music. They inquired about conducting a softball game in June, but they haven't submitted a proposal as well, so we're waiting on that. Following up with COVID-19 protocols, the custodial department continues to follow all sanitizing and COVID-19 protocols. Hourly wipe downs, there's hand sanitizing stations, and disinfecting sprays. Sorry, had to switch to AirPod. So as Dom stated previously, we did receive proposals, the bids for the elevators at Dr. Martin Luther King Upper Elementary School. The bids were higher than the budget, so we're gonna cancel those and re-advertise. Moving on, we did have the central office. We continue with the central office relocation. We had the walkthrough on Tuesday. I have a scope here, a copy of the scope. So basically we walked through with the architect. The estimate total project, this is just, general construction, skywalk exterior reconstruction, the ceilings, the floors, paint, changing the toilets to adults instead of, to perform up the code for adults, came out to about $2,183,965. And that's not including the work that needs to be done in the stairwells, the exterior, parking lot upgrades, and electrical service upgrades, and also furnishing. That doesn't include any of that. Also, we had the ASIP business case projects. We were contacted by the president of Energy Systems Group. They changed their project lead. So now a conference call needs to be held with the new lead and the district and district architect is being scheduled. And then we had two proposals from Charity Kings. The first proposal was a partnership improving Barack Obama Elementary School. They said at no cost they were going to improve the buildings in the ground, the fields. They were going to improve them. They were going to do all the repairs, the electric, the plumbing, HVAC. They're trying to. I guess they submitted a proposal. We looked at the proposal to the district attorney. That's where we're at with it right now. That's basically buildings and grounds. That's the updates. We did the proposal like we stated the other day, and yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, Mr. Remy, you said for the high school, the use of the high school from June 24th to August something, they want to pay us $250?
Correct. From June 24th to August 20th, they would like to pay us $250,000 for the gym.
$250,000, okay.
Yes, $250,000, yes. To use the gym, cafeteria, the fields, and the lake. So we asked that a formal proposal be submitted. So we're just waiting on that with all the details and everything so they can be considered.
Okay, thank you. And one other question, if I may, in regards to the Obama building, you said 2.1 mil, and that does not include the furnace. Were they able to give an estimate on the cost of that, of replacing that 100-year-old furnace?
Oh no, it was the furniture is what I was saying. They didn't mention that. I'm gonna ask the architect.
Okay.
It's not on here as well. It's not on here on the scope.
Mr. Remy, if I may, it's Barbara Lisinski.
Thank you.
All right, Bob. Yep.
From my understanding from Mr. Hastings, if I need to be corrected, that the boiler is fine right now. It was upgraded a little while ago. Is that not correct?
Right, so our boilers are old, however, they work, and our issue with the boilers basically is that right now they're either on or off. We have a bit of an issue with temperature control and control systems on the boilers. So we did look at that as part of potentially the ESIP project. And we've also spoken to the architect about what the options are there, but that is not included in the price that Mr. Remy referenced by the architect.
Correct.
Is it possible that we would be able to get an estimate in case we have any repairs?
Yes, we can ask the architect for an estimated cost.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Remy.
No problem, anytime.
And I just wanted to clarify, and Mr. Remy stated that we did have a cost analysis done by the architect, SSP Architectural. The priority 1 items, which were most of the items that he referenced, totaled about $2.4 million. And then there was a priority 2, which was significantly less, but that was about $880,000, if I recall. Maybe Mr. Remy can correct me on that, but about $380,000 more.
Yes, I see it here. It has 320,000.
Right, so I think total cost for both of those priority items would be, again, back to the number that we've talked about, which is about $2.5 million.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. Back to this Ultimate Sports Camp.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to talk about something that's some significant dollars here. Have we ever worked with them before? I mean, I understand the committee saying, we want to see a formal proposal, but I mean, maybe we want to do some initial vetting on Ultimate Sports Camp. I don't know if the administration can do that. This might be, a serious, significant proposal for us to consider, and I'm sure it's going to be a little more complex in terms of dealing with things, but I'll throw that out. My second one is just a comment. I mean, I read through those two proposals. I'm all for people, anyone who's going to be supportive of the district, but from my former life I'd like to see, I would typically, and what the district has been doing, takes the lead on seeking grant funding. And then if there can be partnerships there, knowing what grant I'm going for, I would then discuss with a nonprofit, do you want to be a partner to this grant, and determine the details as to who's doing what and vetting that partner. As I'll leave this to Adam, but as those proposals were drafted, I didn't see a value to a general agreement to be doing committing to a grant writing partner. So
if I can, but yeah, without getting too much into attorney-client advice, I did give an opinion to the board president with regard to those proposals. Yeah, the short answer is those proposals could not be acted on at this time by the board. To the extent the board does have an interest in partnering, there's a way that should be done. Typically, when we're talking about then a concession contract, which should either be awarded through the bidding process or a competitive contracting / RFP process. So there is a process for those types of services. To the extent the board wishes to engage or solicit bids or RFP submissions, certainly I can work with the administration and the business office on putting together some specifications so that we can move ahead if that's what the board would like to do.
So two things, on the Ultimate Sports Camp, what the steps that I think that we're gonna take is we're gonna have them fill out a standard facilities request form. And then that's what Adam suggested as the next step is to be, so that we can begin the vetting process, because we really want to consider all.
Correct.
So that's where we're started. And then the other thing is that Adam said that he was going to make sure that if we had an agreement with them, that it was our agreement and we outlined everything, so that everything, we covered everything, so that there was no holes where anything can happen. You had something?
Yeah, if I could. I would just caution the board on discussing this too much in public yet, as there probably are going to be some negotiations that are needed. And we're probably going to enter, if we were to move forward, and if the board looked favorably upon the application or the expression of interest, we would probably move ahead with something that's a little bit different from your typical facilities use form. I think that an organization such as this, or the use such as this, requires a little bit more of an in-depth contract so that things are spelled out. So we do have kind of a framework of what is the interest is, and again, a verbal, I should say, not really verbal, but an informal offer of an amount, but a lot of the details remain sketchy. And so, to the extent that the board wants to discuss this any further, my suggestion would be that we do it in executive session, given the fact that we're probably talking about contract negotiations, and that is more appropriately discussed in executive.
Okay, and then the second comment was about the two proposals. Adam did advise that they would be concession, but we did speak about how it would benefit the district to have something like that. So we spoke about maybe drawing up a bid or proposal and taking proposals to see if there are groups that would like to help us in obtaining grants to fix different areas of the school district.
And again, we certainly can do that. I just need to get a direction from the board, and I'm happy to help out in making sure that everything conforms with the requirements that we have under the different codes.
So I have a question. This is Angela. Do we not have a grant writer ourselves, Mr. Hastings?
We have a grant writer.
Yes, we do.
So why aren't we able to use our grant writer? Because I'm believing that the same thing that's available to other groups is available to our grant writer.
Okay.
There's feedback.
You took care of.
I'll use yours.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, we do have an individual on our team that writes grants. This is not a result of what they're not able to do. This is more in response to us having received a proposal from the outside and bringing it now to the board.
Are we voting on this tonight?
No, we're discussing it tonight to the extent that it's definitely an open conversation. Yes, we have a grant writer, but there's grant researchers too. So if we don't put something out for bid or something, we can try to put that grant writer on that task. But at this point, I think in the district's history, we have to start looking at different ways to generate income. So even if we don't go with this proposal, we have to start looking at different ways. Basically, I just repeated myself. Different ways to generate income. That's where we are. We cannot continue doing what we've been doing. Now, the grant writer has been here. We haven't directed him to do this particular thing. So if that's what we want to do, then we can do that, or we can put it out for bid and see if we can get professionals that can concentrate on doing that. Because our grant writer is also writing grants for other things that have to do with educational aspects of the district.
I just have a comment, right, if I may. I think that right now our concentration is moving central office, and then we can think about ideas to fill the rest of Barack Obama so that it benefits our district and our children. So I think that if it's good to talk about ideas, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves right now in talking about, different areas that we might be able to write grants for at this point. It's just my own opinion.
Any additional comments?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, before these two proposals, were there any proposals prior, before me coming on the board? Were there any proposals before this? Any organizations stating that they would, write grants or pay for certain things? Was there anything like that? Any of that, no.
Under my, since I've been the superintendent of schools, this is the first time that I've received something of this nature.
Okay. All right.
And supporting and understanding the ongoing focus in terms of communication. As I received this information in my office, I wanted to make sure that in a very timely manner, per the board's directive, they received that communication.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Couple questions. One, the different nonprofits on there, do they have I work at the nonprofit industry, and when it comes to nonprofits, what the board really needs to see is current 990s, audited financial statements. And if this is really something that we want to go forward with, then we really want to get the best of the best. We'd also want to see a record of where, where these, are there any success stories or that kind of thing. So I agree with Barbara that we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I think the idea is fantastic. And we've been saying for a long time about how we need an education foundation that is separate from the schools, like other school districts. I just think that it needs to be done the right way. And we need to have all the, we need to have a kind of a history of where there's been success with these different nonprofits.
Okay. I have another question as well. So so we did the walkthrough. So what's the next process? What's the next step? Because this whole thing with this walkthrough and this relocation, I'm looking at articles, I'm reading articles from back in the day when I was an undergrad. So I'm talking over, like I graduated college, undergrad in like 2014. And these are things that's still going on still. So like, what's next? Like what needs to happen? We need to get a definite answer. Are we gonna do it or are we not gonna do it? So that's all I'm trying to figure out. Like, what's the next step moving forward? Can anyone answer that?
This is Barbara Lisinski. I agree with you, Anthony, that we have to make a decision probably tonight about what direction we're going to go in, because the lease on that other building is going to be up, I believe, in 1.5 years. And if there are things that have to be done, they have to be start right now. Whether financials, the financial issue has to be addressed, and then whatever kind of bids and this sort of thing that have to go out for the different items that are on that punch list.
Okay, thank you. And speaking of financials, is this something like we can get grants for, or this is something that the district would have to pay for completely out of their budget, completely out of our budget? Or is this something we can get assistance from outside?
So we've talked about this over the past couple meetings, and what we've put forward is a 5-year financing of the cost of the project to be paid back over that time period. So taking into account the cost of the lease in our current location, plus some additional funds to cover that 5-year payback.
So we would be paying back who, ourselves, or?
No, we would take out let's say the total cost is $2.5 million for round numbers. We finance that over 5 years, so we get a 5-year loan or capital lease, if you will, a land lease, they also refer to it as. So we get that money up front. We use those funds to then pay for the improvements to the building, and then we create the payback schedule over 5 years so that we would be paying, if it's 2.5 over 5, $500,000 a year to pay back that loan.
Half of which we come from savings.
Thank you.
We have here.
And as Ms. Morris has noted, half of which would come from the savings of not paying rent where we currently are.
I mean, to that extent, Anthony was talking about, if the board so desires, we do have a resolution that that would be to move forward with the plans for Barack Obama. If that's the board's desire. Because I know that we've been going around talking about what we're gonna do, and we really have to we have to decide.
I agree. We have to execute on something.
Yeah, that's Barbara Lisinski. I agree. Put it on the agenda and then have the vote, the board vote to see what direction they want to go in.
Okay, this is Joe again. Really quick, what were the estimated costs for the other plan of having the modular things? I don't have it in front of me.
Like two, it was two.
Right, so
I believe it's around the same.
the cost for the rehab of Obama was about $2.5 million. When we looked at our 910 Second Avenue or 914 Second Avenue, and then asked them to make adjustments to a modular unit, it came in between 2.1 and 2.5.
So I guess the big the only difference is that, you know, if we do this, if we do the moving of the admin offices to the Obama school and we take over the third floor over there, we've essentially, you know, staked our claim to the entire building. Whereas with the modular, it's, you know, it's just a separate thing. It's a modular construction. Am I correct with that?
Well, I think there's arguments for pros and cons on both sides, right? So if you had a modular, then you have Obama to do all kinds of activities up and down. However, once you have the modular and spend the money on the modular, then we have to find money to fix Barack Obama. So, I mean, I know that we don't have a lot of time to discuss it. So there is, you know, there are good sides on both. But as for establishing ourselves in Obama, again, it's a good thing because we'd be on the third floor. I just put another floor in Obama, don't worry. We'd be on the third floor and then we can have activities on the second and first floor. But again, everything is like, we don't have unlimited funds. So it's basically like we have to decide what we're gonna do because it's not like we have millions. We're talking about taking a loan out to even move into Barack Obama. So if we were gonna do the modular, we had to take a loan out to do the modular and then wouldn't have extra money to do anything in Barack Obama yet. So that's where we are. It's kind of like we have to make a decision where we have a small bucket of money, you know, and then we have to figure out what we're gonna use the bucket on.
So I have a question because in reading that proposal to do the grant writing, they had said that the building was unsafe for staff, students, and visitors. So if we move the central office over there, when will they start doing the work on the Obama building?
I don't quite understand the question. When start doing what?
I'm referring to the proposal that we had received from Charity Kings. We're still talking about that, are we not? To some degree?
No.
Oh, no, it's separate.
Okay. Okay, never mind.
So, Madam President, I guess we should put it on the agenda for our public meeting and then we should vote. So we can have some direction.
So your suggestion is to put on an agenda tonight?
Yes, ma'am. The sooner we start, the quicker it gets accomplished.
I agree with you there, Barbara.
So you making a motion?
No, not right now. This is a work session.
Oh, this is a
Since you
workshop.
have the resolution, you can add it to the agenda.
Oh.
Barbara, can you repeat that?
This is a work session, and then the public session, you can, the public meeting, you can add an item to the agenda, which would be this resolution at some time during the meeting.
Put it under new business if you.
The other thing that I was going to say is that if Madam President, is it appropriate to ask for a timeline for whichever one we choose? Like, is it appropriate to ask for some sort of a timeline so we have an idea of what's going to happen when, and within the time frame that we need it to get done by?
I think it would be smart to ask for a timeline so we know what we're dealing with. So it's more than appropriate.
Yeah.
So we're almost done. Let's do curriculum and instruction, and then we'll move into the regular meeting. Ms. Cook?
Hi. Okay, so we need approval for the development and submission of the IDEA CCLC Supplemental Fund Grant application. The purpose of this grant is to increase the presence of students with disabilities in the 21st CCLC After School Program, and the amount of this award is $25,000. The approval for the PIRT team to attend a weekly virtual training called the Pyramid Birth to 5 series. The training will provide the PIRT team formal training on the pyramid model, which they are required to facilitate professional development for all early childhood staff members annually. The total cost is $800 for all 4 members. Lastly, the approval for Fatima McCoy Leonard, a student at St. Peter's University, Doctor of Educational Leadership Program, to conduct research study at the Asbury Park High School.
The other thing that was brought up about the young lady from St. Peter's, Barbara wanted to know if we could have a copy of the research afterwards, or like find what the end result was. Can I speak to that?
I don't have that form.
No, Madam Superintendent is going to speak on it.
Thank you, Madam President. A part of the doctoral studies and research is that anytime any research is done in this manner, it's anonymous, and to protect the researchers and the commentary. Also, as a part of fulfilling the requirements for the doctoral program, this research will be published and hence made available for anyone's review. But any indicators and referencing to the Asbury Park School District, and that doesn't just count for this one, but that's standard from the Institutional Review Board, or otherwise known as IRB. That's just how research is done in that setting.
So in short, no.
In short, anyone and everyone will have the opportunity, if they want to research the dissertation, to read it once it's published. However, any references to the Asbury Park School District will be left out.
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Can I have a motion to close?
Excuse me, Madam President. I have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
Earlier, you had mentioned that our meetings are going to change from March. It's not going to be the 25th. It's going to be the 18th and the 11th.
No, it's going to be the 25th and the 18th.
Okay, because I heard you. So the 11th is not included.
The 11th. So originally, the workshops that are the Thursday night workshops had to be moved because on the 18th, we're going to have a meeting for the preliminary budget. So we moved the workshops that were going to be on the 18th, we moved them to the 11th.
Okay, just I may have to change my committee meeting on the 10th. I'll advise everybody.
You might have to move it to the 10th?
No, I might have to move it from the 10th. I have surgery on the 9th.
Your committee meeting is going to stay on that Wednesday. We're only moving the Thursday committees.
Yeah, I'll advise everybody. I might have a problem.
Okay.
You know. All right. Thanks.
One more thing I want to add to you.
Okay, we have one more. We have an addendum to be added.
So after our curriculum and instruction committee meeting was conducted under Dr. Christy Howard Morris's leadership, along with the principal, along with Principal Baumgartner from the high school, we were very fortunate to be approached by the New Jersey Manufacturing Extension Program. I have Dr. Howard Morris on the line. She's going to provide just a very, very brief overview I did forward, after conversation with Madam President, regarding the last minute addenda item because of the timing of the meeting to secure its placement on tonight's agenda. I forwarded to every board member for your review. A little bit about the program. I did receive a question back about the program. I'm going to allow Dr. Howard Morris to give a little more explanation.
Good evening, everyone. As Ms. Gray stated, I was approached with regard to a program for our seniors. So by the New Jersey Manufacturing Program, Extension Program. And so essentially what it is going to do is going to provide our students with a national certification and 2 subject matters. One, they will have a opportunity to get a certification in the logistics as a logistics associate, certified logistics technician, or they can get a certification in what's called the certified production technician. It's an online program. They'll have to complete between 80 and 100 hours, and it's something that they can do outside of school. So when I met with Ms. Baumgartner, what she wanted to also do is include the CTE teachers to also help get some hours with the students. But in addition to our staff, the program provides a staff member that will help them with their studies. So, and that's free of charge. We don't have to pay anything for the program. And after the students complete the program, the organization will help them find employment. They'll circulate their resumes, and they'll also provide them with jobs that are available for them to interview. And that's essentially, and the other part that we are able to utilize is because of some of our students, unfortunately, have a lot of buyback hours that they have to complete. And this would fall in line with our option 2 program at the high school, where they can, take the 80 to 100 hours and put that towards their buyback hours. Does anyone have any questions?
And lastly, I just want to reiterate that this program is free at no cost to the district. The reason why it is included as an addenda is because it does require us to enter into a memorandum of understanding, which was also attached to the email for your review.
Not to belabor this either, this is exactly some of what we've been talking about, giving certifications and opportunities to our students that are not college bound or college is not their first choice. And it's coming at no cost to the district. Any comments or questions? Okay, so we have to do a quick public participation. So we're going to open the floor up. State your name, your address, and your comment and or question.
So we can take public comments through our public comment mailbox, public comment at asburypark.k12.nj.us. You can also raise your hand or post a comment in the comments section. And if you're a caller, you can hit star, I believe it's *3, and you'll put into the queue to make a comment. So we'll give it a chance to populate. We did check the public comment email address, and there are no public comments there. Mr. Brannigan, is there anything in our comment section, or is there a caller in a queue?
At this time, no one has raised their hand, and there are no entries in the chat.
Okay, we're going to close the public comment section.
We're going to close that at 7:10 p.m.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Everyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we are not closed.
President, could we take Can we take a five-minute break, just a 5-minute break before we open public?
Oh, yeah, what? What? Okay, you have to run to the bathroom. I'm sorry.
Why doesn't you just get up and go?
Carol, I heard that.
Okay, we're going to pause for 5 minutes. It is now 7:10, so in 5 minutes, we'll be back for the regular meeting. Thank you.
Anthony,
Yes.
during the meeting, you shouldn't be talking to someone else because it could be violating the sunshine law. It's a public meeting. Any other conversation outside the realm of the board could be a violation. Because nobody can
Okay.
hear what you're talking about. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You might want to talk to Mr. Weiss about that. Okay?
Okay. I apologize.
Barb,
I'll be right back, Joe.
where are you going?
I'm not telling you.
Remy, I know you were just singing, don't worry.
Thanks.
I was doing the same thing.
I'd just like to remind everybody, you're still public and you're still being heard, so take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, we're back, guys. In accordance with the provision of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6 PL 1975 C 231 S1 amended in 2006 C 70 S2, the Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending a notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the new poster on January 8th, 2021 via email. Copies of this notice have also been placed at the Administration Building Bulletin Board, District Schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the City Clerk on January 8th, 2021. The mission of the Asbury Park School District is to provide all students with a comprehensive and progressive education where everyone possesses the skill and character to succeed in a diverse, evolving global society. Roll call, please, Mr. Hastings.
Oops. All right, as we take roll call, please unmute yourselves and put yourself back on mute. Ms. Alves Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Breach?
Here.
Ms. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Grillo?
Here.
Mr. LaRocca?
Here.
Mr. Remy?
Here.
Mr. Saunders? See you there, okay. Ms. Lozinski
Here.
and Ms. Etienne.
Here. Can we all rise for the flag salute, please? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe, our resident flag presenter.
One day I'll get it right, the right direction.
Okay, so our presentation was already done, correct?
Yes, our annual review was done earlier.
Superintendent's presentation?
I have no presentation, just some remarks. Our 7th annual Black History Month extravaganza, which has been renamed our Black Herstory extravaganza, will now be in March. The date has changed. It will be virtual, March 12th. And as a result of the date change, we are also using that opportunity to incorporate Women's History Month. So we will have a Black Herstory, Women's Herstory extravaganza, March 12th, and more information will follow for your review.
That's the eyes of March.
So
that's a bad day.
So well, we're gonna put a new spin to it. So that completes what I want, what I was going to share tonight.
Thank you very much. Do you have a?
I have a question. Speaking of Black History Month and women, did our resident awardee get to attend her ceremony prior to the meeting today?
Yes, I did, actually. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. In my acceptance speech, I mentioned that it's not possible to lead and do the work that I do without acknowledging the Board of Education, as well as the Blue Bishop family and members of my other organizations for which I am a member of. So thank you for assisting me and co-laboring with me in this work as we continue to change the trajectory of people's lives. That completes my report.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. So that's Madam Superintendent's presentation and report. So now we will be moving on to the public participation part. The floor is now open.
Again, you'll need to state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to make a comment. We have our public comment email address that you can send an email to. or you can post something in the comments or the raised hand function of the software here. Or if you're on the phone, you can hit *3 to go into a queue and we'll recognize you there. We'll take a moment for that to queue up. All right, at this time, we have no public comments in our public comment email address. Mr. Brannigan, do we have any comments or phone callers?
At this time, there's no entries in the chat and no one has raised their hand.
Okay, public participation is now closed.
We're closing public at 7:22.
Madam State Monitor.
You will be receiving a report shortly, just updating the last exit report since the issue of COVID. I didn't feel that it was completely fair to do an in-depth. So you will see that there's an addendum to the last one and that I have submitted to the state, and you will be receiving copies if you have any questions. Certainly at the next meeting, I would be more than happy to respond to them. And that's the only thing tonight.
Thank you very much. Acceptance of minutes, Mr. Anderson?
Yes, could I have a motion for the acceptance of our minutes on page A1, 10A and B?
Move it.
Move it. Second. Joe, second.
So moved by Ms. Lozinski, second by Mr. Grillo. Any comments or questions? Ms. Lozinski,
Yes.
Mr. Grillo,
Yes.
Ms. Alves Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Breach,
Yes.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca,
Yes.
Mr. Remy,
Yes.
Mr. Saunders,
Yes, and I finally got my. I wasn't as computer literate as I thought I was.
Well, we appreciate your efforts. Ms. Etienne,
Yes.
okay. I will not be presenting the minutes of the closed session because we didn't send them out to you for review yet.
Okay, at this point in time, I would like to ask for consent agenda. Madam Superintendent, ask for consent
I
agenda.
would. Good evening, members of the board, Madam President. I'm requesting consent agenda for items B1 to B5 and all attachments.
Move it.
Need a second?
Grillo, second.
Moved by Ms. Lozinski, second by Mr. Grillo. Comments, questions?
Yes, roll call, please, Mr. Hastings.
B1 through B5. And we have the addenda. Was the addenda included in those items as well?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Ms. Lozinski,
Yes.
Mr. Grillo,
Yes.
Ms. Alves Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Breach,
Yes.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca,
Yes.
Mr. Remy,
Yes.
Mr. Saunders,
Yes.
Ms. Etienne.
Yes.
All items carrying?
Mr. Hastings, would you like to ask for consent agenda?
Yes, Madam President. Could I have a motion for all items C1, number 1 to C3, number 8?
I'll move it.
Second.
Second.
Third?
We have it moved by Ms. Lozinski, seconded by Mr. LaRocca. Any questions or comments?
Roll call, please, Mr. Hastings. Sorry.
That's all right. Ms. Lozinski,
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca,
Yes.
Ms. Abez Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Breach,
Yes, abstain on C2, 5A.
thank you. Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Mr. Grillo,
Yes, and I have to abstain on JCP&L, New Jersey Natural Gas, New Jersey American Water, and any reimbursements to me.
thank you. Mr. Remy,
Yes.
Mr. Saunders,
Yes.
and Ms. Etienne.
Yes.
All items carry.
All right, this concludes our meeting. Is there any additional comments? Anything anyone wants to add before we close?
Madam President, Ms. Barbara Lisinski,
Yes,
I'd like to propose that you read the resolution regarding Obama, central office movement of Obama, so we can move on.
I don't have it. I don't have it. Mr. Hastings, do you happen to have a copy of that resolution?
I do not.
I do not have it, and I do not have a copy to read. Mr. Hastings had given me a paper copy last time. It's not even in my email.
In that event, could we vote on it at the early March meeting?
Yeah, we can do it on the 18th. Madam Vice President, can we do it on the 18th? Barbara.
Question. What is it that we're looking for? You said the proposal?
The resolution to move forward with Barack Obama.
It's to direct the administration to start the process to move central office to Barack Obama.
If, Mr. Lisinski, if you'd like, I don't know what document you're looking for, but if you'd like, you can orally make the motion, and I can walk you through it if need be.
Sure. Make a motion that the board directs the administration to take the steps necessary to start the process of moving central office to the Barack Obama Elementary School, which would include plans, RFPs, bids, and financial requirements that we have to, whether it's lending or borrowing from whatever institution we need to.
And if I could, I'd like to add to that to make sure everything's covered. And the board authorized the business administrator, board secretary to take whatever steps are necessary to effectuate the this action of the board.
All I would need is a motion.
Motion?
Motion. Second.
Second.
All right, so it's moved by Mr. Remy and seconded by, was it Mr. LaRocca? Who was my second? Mr. Song?
Yeah.
You need to,
Roll call.
no, wait. Any discussion?
Oh, yeah. Questions, discussion?
Is it appropriate to hear? Is it appropriate to hear from to give some time for the board members to discuss this a bit?
We're open for discussion now.
Oh, okay.
And
I couldn't hear.
Okay, Davidson, roll call?
Mr. Remy?
Here.
It's a yes on the motion?
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Saunders?
yes,
Ms. Alves Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Breach?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes, yes,
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
And Ms. Etienne?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to close this meeting, if I may.
Second.
We have a motion to close from Ms. Lozinski, seconded by Ms. Etienne. Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Ms. Etienne?
Yes.
Ms. Alves Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Breach?
Yes.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
yes,
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders?
yes.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody. Stay well, everybody.
Meeting. Yeah, stay safe, stay blessed.
It's a vaccine.
Yeah, have a good one.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
good night.
All right.